Hello, I'm Raj Gupta, and I help lead the global health efforts at Vir Biotechnology, an immunology company focused on the fight against infectious diseases. COVID-19 resulted in a fundamental shift in the development of therapeutics and vaccines. What was traditionally a decade-long process was compressed to less than 12 months. But two important questions remain. How do we translate this accelerated approach to other global infectious diseases? And how do we ensure those innovations quickly reach populations in need globally? To address the initial question, it helps to examine 5 key factors in the COVID-19 product development process. First, there existed a robust scientific base on coronaviruses and new platform technologies. So there was already a head start on the research portion of the research and development process. Second, platform clinical trials were created to effectively add or subtract product candidates. Instead of each developer needing to create its own infrastructure, developers could work with existing networks under standardized protocols. Third, activities that normally occur in a gated manner were actually conducted simultaneously. For example, we started clinical trials of candidates at the same time we embarked on large-scale manufacturing for those very candidates. Fourth, we had a high tolerance of failure. Multiple products were advanced at risk, knowing that many would fail. And fifth, financing was available for nearly every step of the process. This effectively mitigated the different range of risks for a given developer. Together, these 5 factors fostered an ecosystem of partnerships to form amongst academia, small biotechs, large companies, governments, and nonprofits. And replicating these 5 factors to create a similar partnership ecosystem for other global infectious diseases could get us equally to more products in a shorter amount of time. But we must also change our approach to getting those products to patients globally. The path from product to the patient in resource-limited settings could be built on 3 principles. The first principle is to financially empower low and middle income countries. We need a fully financed pandemic procurement fund in advance of the next epidemic so that poorer countries are not left behind in the initial supply allocation. The second principle is to develop critical operational solutions. These include harmonizing various regulatory requirements into a streamlined process, expanding the global biologics manufacturing capacity for both raw materials and finished product, and pilot testing of in-country distribution mechanisms to ensure effective execution during an actual crisis. The third principle is understanding we need to deliver multiple innovations over time rather than waiting for the ideal technology. We should be operating under the premise that the technologies evolve and become optimized over time to respond to potential considerations like pathogen evolution or patient-centeredness. Ultimately, when we have a technology that's ready to deploy in high-income countries, we should have the partnerships in place to be ready to deploy it in resource-limited settings. For decades, comparative statistics have highlighted health disparities between the rich and poor. COVID-19 only further exacerbated that divide. However, accepting this as status quo is no longer acceptable. As a just society that values human life equally, we must develop a more equitable response to global infectious diseases. In closing, I'd like to thank the Devex organizers for the opportunity to speak with you today. We will only achieve global health equity through partnerships, and I look forward to working with you on some of these efforts.